Hello and welcome to the SNS Provincial Program Parent and Player Information Presentation for the 2026 season. Objective of today is hopefully to have everybody watch this presentation, have an idea of what the Provincial Program is going to look like. Hopefully it'll answer a lot of the questions that may be out there, so everybody knows how everything's going to operate and how it's going to run. We'll start with a bit of a bigger picture introduction on the high performance programs as a whole before we zoom in on this Provincial Program that is going to be starting in March. And going through some of the bigger picture, higher level details before finishing the presentation with some player selection outlines and some potential timelines over the next month or so. This presentation is aimed at the general public. It's not aimed necessarily at players that are being selected or on the selection list right now or whatever it may be. So again, more general today rather than get specifically into details. There will be a more detailed presentation for players that have been selected as we get closer to the beginning of the program in March. So starting with our bigger picture items, the high performance program as a whole. So for those who may have watched my presentation that I did in late summer, early fall, we do have 3 bands within the high performance structure. A gold, a silver, and a bronze. The gold being the XL program, which has been running since September. That program we've gone into in detail in other places, so I won't spend too much time on it today, but that is considered our highest level program. Then we get into the silver, which is what we're talking about today. The provincial programs sit inside of that silver band. And then we have the bronze band, which is the college prep program for U17s and U18s and a U13 provincial program. Now, those programs right now aren't running for various reasons for both outside of our control at the moment. But there are plans to hopefully have that in the 26-27 season or 27 season if needs be. The program goals, I've got quite a few of them, but basically it boils down to making better people, making better players. Okay, so developing that high performance attitude. All right, and as players who have experienced those next levels and gone and had tryouts elsewhere, I'm sure they all feel the same way here. But I always hear the same thing: it's wow, that was super intense, or those players really want it, and that's the level and that's the intensity of the attitude that we need to try and develop within our athletes here. Continue to develop the strong technical habits that the club's already built a great foundation on. Continue to develop the tactical understanding and hopefully add a few more layers to that as well. Guide that level of physical attributes development, so our speed and our endurance. One of the ones I have less of a focus on because of the age of the athletes we're working on. This more of an introduction so that they understand how their bodies work and how they can do things in the gym, rather than really pushing them to improve physically. A passion for the sport, not just playing, but maybe watching it as well and diving into some of the stats of the professional game and maybe going to watch some of our local pro teams as well. Preparing athletes for those next level opportunities as they come up, so they're not just walking into an identification camp not knowing what they're doing or what to expect. And then developing individual skills and good human beings. So, again, athletes that are able to manage a schedule, talk to adults or coaches that they may have interest in programs that they want to go to in the future. Cleaning up after themselves, not swearing in public, little things like that. We want people to leave this program, having some more of those skills and being a great member of society. And the way we do that, our program philosophy, there's 3 parts to it. The first one is our 4-corner evaluation sort of method, which is our technical, tactical, physical, mental, social, emotional. So the technical, on and around the ball, our passing, our shooting, our defending, our tackling, so on and so forth. Our tactical, understanding your role within a team and within a structure. Our physical, which we've gone into already a little bit on the previous slide here, but again, developing those physical attributes that are going to help you have success in the long term in the game. And then the mental, social, emotional, where we can get into our performance, how to be ready to play in a game or a practice, how to look after our bodies, how to be part of a team, and so on and so forth. And within our staff, what we talk about here is the triangle in the middle, okay? And we want the clarity, we want to be supportive, we want to be demanding. And those are our sort of 3 key pillars, okay? So the clarity, making sure the athletes know what is expected of them on and off the field. Being supportive, making sure the athletes feel like there is someone that has their backs and they're looking after them. And then being demanding, like being able to push these athletes to that next level, okay? And if we achieve those 3 things, we start developing 3 parts of our culture which we want to pull together. So if we're clear on what we expect and they know they're being looked after, we have this growth culture, which means, the athletes are able to get better. They know what to do and they know there's someone looking after them. If we are clear and we are demanding, we create a driven culture. Okay, so they know what's expected of them and they're being pushed. All right, now we've got a driven culture and now we've got a growth culture, which really is really helpful. And then lastly, being demanding and supportive. If the athletes are being pushed, but also know that the coaches and the staff have their backs, we get that gritty culture. They're willing to take a few more risks. They're willing to try things that maybe are outside of their comfort zone. And if we do that, we have a driven growth culture with gritty players. And now we're really onto something where we're able to develop athletes. And the way the program wants to do that, 3 key things: more tools. Okay, so a greater understanding of the sports science pieces. So our understanding how to eat in preparation for a match or a practice, when to go to bed, how much sleep you need, what to do in the gym. Tools to be able to develop themselves to a point where they're able to have success. More knowledge, technically or tactically, understanding more roles, new ways of playing the game, different ways of playing the game, because there isn't just one. There isn't particularly one that is better than the others. And then more eyes, which is our way of saying we need to showcase Nova Scotian talent to other people, other programs, professional levels, so on and so forth, across the country and the world. And that leads us nicely to the player pathway. So more opportunities, more consistency, more prepared. Okay, and one of the number one things I always hear from athletes when they have those opportunities to go away and do different things is that they feel like, it took them a couple of days to get up to speed. Okay, and part of those more consistency and being more prepared means that they are ready for that. So it doesn't take them 2 or 3 days to get up to speed. They're able to hit that tryout, whatever it may be, hit the ground running and be able to be their best version of themselves immediately rather than a couple of days later. But what you'll see in this graphic here, bottom left of the graphic, you'll see standards-based youth clubs and then the provincial program. So you'll see an arrow going into both, and then the provincial programs up to the XL program. And then all of those go into various other pro environments, college, university, national teams, so on and so forth. Okay, so what I really want to highlight here is while we do have this high-performance structure with our provincial programs, our XL programs, and so on and so forth, there isn't one right or wrong way to be able to achieve the objectives that every athlete has, okay? There are all kinds of examples of athletes that have not gone into provincial programs in this province and others. There are examples of athletes that have gone through the provincial program, through XL, through NDCs and become professionals. There's lots of different ways. Okay, so even if an athlete isn't selected for this program or maybe turns down the opportunity to be in this program, that doesn't mean it's going to be the end of the objectives that they want to try and achieve in their career. So hopefully, like I said, be it within this program or outside, the objective here is to help the athletes to achieve the next step in their pathways and have great success at those next levels. And that brings us to our silver programming, which is the provincial program. So a couple of slides here just on what we're trying to achieve. First things first, we will have 6 teams running, and under 14, which is 2012 borns, and under 15, which is 2011 borns, and under 16, which is 2010 borns. And obviously 3 of those teams on the male side and 3 of those teams on the female side gives us our 6 teams. We will be running about 5-6 months of programming, starting in March, finishing in the first week of August or last week of July. And then the program objectives are the same as I mentioned in the high performance as a whole on the previous slide here, with one extra line at the bottom here, which is identifying high performing players amongst best with best. So we do use our provincial program as a scouting mechanism for our Excel selection in end of August, early September. Okay, so please know that to make that Excel program, you do realistically need to probably be in and around provincial program selections to have that opportunity, unless you really kick on over the course of the summer months. Okay, so we do use this program as that scouting mechanism. And what is success of the provincial programs? So if we're at the end of August and someone's asking me was we were successful or were we not, I'll be looking to answer these questions. Did we create better players? Okay. Did we create better coaches? Did we create better people? Did everybody have great experiences? All right. And did we showcase our Nova Scotian talent outside of just Nova Scotia? Although within Nova Scotia as well, particularly for those universities and college programs. So that's what we're going to do. If I can tick those 5 boxes at the end of the program, then that means, in my opinion, we've had success. Okay. And while I've got winning as a nice outcome, it's not the outcome. We all want to win games. We all want to feel like we've had success on the field by having those W's in the win column. But ultimately, if we lose every single game, but I manage to tick those 5 boxes off, our program managed to tick those 5 boxes off, I'm going to be a happy person. So we want to win, but it's not the ultimate objective. So getting into the program itself, starting with our female coaching staff, an incredible group of people here. For our 16 program, our head coach is Megan Earl, who is with Suburban, our Excel program, and an assistant coach with St. Mary's University. She will be assisted by Kim Hardy and Mitch Hanna. Kim is with Dalhousie Women, Mitch is with Cape Breton Women. So we have a pretty university-heavy under-16 coaching staff, which is amazing, with some great experiences. And they'll be supported by mentee coach Lauren Hurst, who's also a mentee coach with the Excel program and works with UDFC. At the U15 level, we have our Canada Game staff who are back and working with the 15 program, which is incredible. Danielle Sia, who is also the head coach of Acadia Women as well. They're an exceptional coach, and they'll be leading Jared Griffiths, who is their assistant coach with Acadia 2, and Caitlin McIsaac, who also works with Dalhousie Women. And they will be supported as a mentee coach by Madison Harris, who's just graduated from Acadia as an athlete herself. So I don't need to give these guys too much introduction, as they have been doing great things in this province for an incredibly long time, and that's an incredibly exciting group of coaches. And then at our U14 level, Anna Lucas will be our head coach, supported by Brooke Donovan and Liz McPhail. Anna is with our female Excel program and coaches with Halifax County. And Brooke is one of the technical staff at Inter Halifax, as well as also being one of our Excel coaches as well. And Liz has been in the provincial programs for years, is assistant coach with the University of King's College as well. And has also been a provincial coach in Prince Edward Island as well. So you look at that group of staff and you go, wow, everybody has experiences at those next levels. And again, hopefully they'll be able to bring that nicely to the provincial program too. I will be the program lead, of course, and then we have an excellent goalkeeping department here as well, led by Mark Haynes from the Tides. But on the field, we'll see Morgan, Connor, and Mark Francisco a little bit as well. Again, lots of university experience, and these guys have been running our Excel goalkeeping program over the course of the winter months as well. And then our male program, again, another fantastic group of people. Again, I'm program lead. The goalkeeping department is the same, so we won't go deeper into them again. For our 16s, we have Dave McCarthy. Dave has been, again, around provincial programs for years. Has been a director of soccer for our province in Saskatchewan. Has an A license, again, an incredibly gifted coach and with tons of experience. And he'll be supported by Ewan and Kuvi. Ewan obviously working with Suburban and having also been in provincial programs for the last decade and more. And Kuvi, who was assistant technical director with the Cape Breton FC teams and also was in provincial programs last year. At U15, we have Ian King, who will be the head coach. Unbelievable experience from Scotland, where he was coaching professional and semi-professional environments. Now the technical director of the Cape Breton programs. And he'll be assisted by Aaron Thibault, who was involved with the Suburban team that won gold at Nationals back in October. And Guy Edwards, who is the high performance manager for Dunbrack. So again, a very, very experienced group of people there. And at U14, Charlie Waters, a staff member with Suburban FC with their younger programs. Lindsay Van Kessel, who is also one of the technical leads at South Shore. And Jeff McGrath, who's one of the technical leads with Ignite Soccer Club. So again, people that are working full-time or part-time in the soccer world, who are able to bring their experiences and various different pieces to the table. Very, very exciting group of people. The dates. So training weekends are on the right here. So our first weekend will be March 21st, 22nd, April 18th, 19th, so on and so forth. I won't walk through each individual weekend just as unnecessary. Everything will be at the BMO Soccer Centre. There might be one weekend where we end up going into Cape Breton instead of being at BMO, but that is to be confirmed. That will be confirmed over the next few weeks. But right now, everything's at the BMO Centre. Over the weekends in March, April, May, and June, all 14s, 15s, and 16 teams will be on the same sort of schedule. Obviously, different times throughout the day, but we'll be on the same weekend, same games and timelines. On the last weekend in July, the U16s will go on the 18th, 19th, and the 14th, 15th will go on the 25th, 26th. So that's the only weekend where we separate some of the teams. But other than that, pretty consistent. You can lock these in. Saturday will include 2 sessions. Sunday will include 1 session. So it is a 2-day band. That's why I have the weekends down there as the dates there. NSSL games will be blacked out as well, so you haven't got to worry about balancing under 15 treble A or under 17 treble A. For these weekends, those leagues will be blacked out. Okay, so in July, the under 16 weekend will mean there'll be no under 17 treble A games. The July 25th, 26th, there'll be no under 15 treble A games. Okay. And then our competition weekends, we will be traveling to the Umbro Showcase in May, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. That'll be all 6 teams. That is going to be a fun trip. We'll get to that one in a bit more in a second. Before then, we have a little split here for the 14th, 15th, and 16th. So the 14th, 15th will enter the Canada Youth Cup here in Halifax, and the under 16s will head up to New Brunswick to take part in Atlantics. And we'll get to those in a bit more in a second here as well. So starting with the Umbro, I've got the dates up there again, the travel days and the game days. The 40s and 50s have been entered into the under 15 division in the top division, so there might be a chance that they overlap a little bit. We have requested they won't play in the same group, but if they both make it out of the group, there may be some overlap in the knockout rounds, and the under 16s will be in the under 16 division. Again, in the top division that we could enter them. There'll be 3 staff traveling, plus myself, plus 1 SNS staff member as well. So we'll have lots of people traveling. We'll be there. We'll be using minivans or SUVs to be able to get around. We'll have all the meals booked in advance. The flights are booked already. You can see that we're leaving on the 14th and returning on the 18th. This will be a pretty major event for SNS, having 108 players plus multiple staff, 3, 6, 9, 18, 20 staff traveling. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, but it should be a lot of fun. It's a great event, great showcase, lots of people coming to watch, well worth our time and investment. And then for the home competition events, the 14th and 15th will be in the Canada Youth Cup. There'll be a new division created where we have Newfoundland, PEI, New Brunswick in there, plus some other clubs from inside and outside the Maritimes. The 14s will be in the under 15 division, and the 15s will be in the under 17 division. So they will be playing up a couple of age groups at least, if not 1 or 2 age groups for each of those teams. And the 16s will take part in a traditional U16 Atlantics in New Brunswick, again a week earlier. But Newfoundland, PEI, New Brunswick, under 16s or under 17 teams will be there. Details are a bit minimal right now, but we'll have them confirmed as the program runs. We'll go through them from there. As part of the addition to the program, there will be classroom sessions. There's one guaranteed every provincial weekend, potentially a second one if the coaches want to add a second for some game analysis stuff. The first one, we'll get into some of those tools that we mentioned at the beginning, some sports science stuff like the nutrition, like mental performance, some college university preparation, so on and so forth. So there'll be one guaranteed each weekend. And again, like I said, if the coaches want to dive in and do some game analysis stuff, they can as well. There'll be an evaluation form provided for each player at the end of the program. For those in the program last year, they've seen this one already. It will look something like this, where we can dive into the nitty-gritty of each player and give them some feedback on how they performed and how they did, based on some letter grades. These will be shared with the clubs as well at the end of the program, so that clubs and players are all on the same sort of page. We will be using XPS for our communication. So this is a new app that we've been using with the Excel this year. It's been going excellently well. There are some teething problems in the first few uses of them, I guess, just as you get used to a new application. But this has all the bells and whistles in it, from a calendar to be able to have messaging athletes following the rule of 2. So we don't have to text athletes. We can actually message them within the system, so on and so forth. So you have like a personal space. We can upload documents, you name it. So there will be a tutorial that will come out in March that will run through the details on how to work this. If you want to start playing with it in advance, you can access it through your browser. I've got a link up there. You just might have to copy and paste that link. If you want to download the app, there's a laptop app, which is the blue picture you see there, and then the phone app is a white picture. And why they're different colors, I don't know. But if you want to start playing with it, you can. If you want to know a bit more about it, the Excel players and parents already use this on a daily basis with us. So they'll be able to give you a bit more information. But yeah, really good app, pretty good use. And then that'll be able to keep all of our comms in one place. As part of registration, you will get the following: a training shirt, training shorts, 2 pairs of socks, a white and a blue, a hoodie, and a backpack. The jerseys will be navy. I do have a little typo here. We were deciding if it's going to be grey or navy. We have decided it will be navy. So, slightly different color to the XL program. But this is the way it'll look. So you get a navy hoodie and a navy shirt. You'll also get a game jersey and two game jerseys, a home and an away. Those will be returned at the end of the program, but everything else is the athletes to keep. So that will be part of the registration costs. And then selection process and timelines. And this is always obviously the most controversial part as everybody tries to figure out how players are selected and so on and so forth. So I'll try and be as clear as I can here. All right, but there aren't going to be tryouts. Okay, I do not believe in tryouts. There are a lot of reasons for this from people that have done research, way higher level than myself. There is a time and a place where tryouts are more important, where you're making athletes travel, for example, or we don't have the ability to connect with technical directors or coaches who maybe know the players super well. But we are in a smaller province where we do have those resources. Okay, so. If we have a tryout over 2 days, it's a small sample size. Okay, an athlete comes in injured or sick or late or nervous and they perform poorly. Well, suddenly we're not going to be selecting an athlete who's probably good enough but just had a poor weekend. Similarly, we're in a province here where the players are being seen by coaches in a daily environment. We have technical directors who I'm in contact with continuously. I'm scouting. Most of our provincial coaches are all performance people within their clubs, coaches or otherwise. We're in a situation where we're able to review these players over the course of an ongoing basis from month to month, year to year, rather than having to bring everybody together for 2 or 3 days to make decisions. So rather than us making those decisions, bringing players together, our scouting process is bigger picture. So I meet with the technical directors reasonably frequently. I meet with club coaches all the time. We have our scouts who are out and about. I go and scout games. You might have seen me at some NSSL games over the course of the winter. So the way that selections will work here, myself, the provincial coaches, and our scouts will provide feedback to myself. I accumulate that all together and make some decisions. I then go back to the clubs and the technical directors and say, hey, this is where I'm currently thinking. Is there anybody here that I'm missing? Anything that I've got wrong? I get feedback from them, and we build this between everybody, all of our stakeholders in the province. We build this model where we have hopefully enough input to be able to make the accurate and correct decisions on athletes. Obviously, there will always be controversy because as you get down to the levels we're talking about here, selecting 18 players is quite difficult, particularly when you have 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 30 athletes who are excellent footballers. But ultimately, we've got to pick a selection of players, and I think this, for me, is a better way of selecting correctly rather than making a decision over 2 or 3 days on a random weekend or whenever it may be. So what I'd always say is every time you step on the field, somebody's watching. It might be your coach, it might be someone in the stands, it might be a technical director, but every time you step on the field, you're trying to impress. And that's what high performance is. Okay, so one good game here followed by 3 poor games, or one good practice followed by 6 poor practices isn't enough. You need to be able to show that you are the quality that you have consistently over a longer period of time. So selection of players is based on how you perform in your club environments, practices and games, how you perform in NSSL matches, how you performed in previous SNS programs. All right, and it's not just performance, there's behavioral stuff in there as well. But that ultimately is where it comes down to. And again, like I said, there will be some difficult decisions, particularly for some groups that have enough players that it's going to be difficult to lower it down to the number we need to select. But that reality is high performance. What I'll also say here is ultimately the final decision does fall on me. So while club technical directors will push some of you guys forward, ultimately I'm the only one, because I'm pulling all those different pieces together, that has the bigger picture. So any frustrations or any complaints about selection will fall to me as the high performance manager. So please don't be yelling at provincial coaches or technical directors or whatever it may be. Ultimately, if there is frustrations, it will fall on me. And the timelines, the way things are working, I'm already in the process of talking to technical directors as we speak. Long lists and player selections and abilities have been discussed ongoing for the entire 16 months I've been back already. So that is ongoing. Player invitations will be sent out the week of February 23rd, so about a month from now. Or if you're watching this, obviously in the end of January. Player registration will open that same day, and then as of March 6th, that'll be the end of registration, and then we'll do the public announcement of who's been selected. Okay, if you haven't been selected, you won't get a message. Okay, you won't get an email. The reason being is obviously, where do we draw that line? There's 20,000 players in the province. We're selecting about 140-ish, give or take, once you include training players. For me to send out 850 emails saying you haven't been selected doesn't make sense. So if you haven't heard something by the end of the week of the 23rd, then there's a chance you haven't been selected. Again, feel free to shoot me an email if you feel like that's incorrect. But ultimately, only the players selected will receive an email. And the selection numbers. For the U14s, we'll be selecting 25 players. Okay, for the U15s and 16s, we'll only be selecting 23 players. Okay, what will happen is we will start with that bigger picture. So we will start with that 23 or 25. And then after the April weekend, which is our second weekend, so you'll have March and April, we will limit that down to our 18 traveling players. So within that selection, you have 2 weekends, which is 4 practices and 2 games, to be able to prove that you deserve to be in that 18 traveling squad. Okay, and that's kind of how the selections are gonna work. And that summarizes it today. So again, I really appreciate everybody's time. If you do have questions, please feel free to email me at adam@osakaNS.ca. Obviously, I get lots of emails, so please give me a few days to get back to you. Hopefully you leave this presentation feeling like you know what's going on and there's a bit of clarity. And I look forward to seeing everyone on and around the field, and I will see you soon. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day.